And I'm going to give you all a few moments to come on in. We're having a quiet little impromptu broadcast today. I'm your host, Tonya TKO. We're going to be talking about victim mentality. There are a few different things that have been coming up for me to talk about this today, and so I wanted to make sure that we had our chance to speak about this. So I'm going to let the link populate. I'm going to get the message out to the notification squad as well as the people on Telegram. So, oh, here we go. The link is up quickly today. All right. There we go. All right. So, I'm going to give you all a few moments to come in. There's a little bit of a lag and delay between when I create the broadcast and when you all start to come in. So, I'm going to start getting the link together. Okay. So, it looks like you all have started to come in. Welcome, 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 welcome. Welcome. I'm just getting the notification typed up right now. So just give me a few moments for that. Come on in and say hello to one another. If you are a part of the text notification squad, you're going to be getting your text soon. I'm getting ready to type it up right now, and then I'm going to send it to the people on Telegram as well. So if you want to get a free notification, the link is in the description. It's all the way at the bottom. And if you want to join the text notification squad where you receive a text to your mobile phone and you also get special perks like behind the scenes broadcasts as well as a hangout on Telegram, the link is in the description. It's $1.99 a month. And hold on. And you can support the channel and support yourself in that way. So let me get the title together. Today, we're going to be talking about people with the perpetual victim mentality. There have been a lot of things on my spirit to talk about this, and I've decided to stop ignoring it and just go ahead and talk about it. All right, so the text is written up. Let me grab this. Let me grab copy. Let me do a send now. All right, text notification squad, your text is on the way. Now let me get this out to the people on Telegram. So there's a way for you to be able to get a notification when I go live on Telegram. And there is a way for you to, hold on, let me get this out. Tonya TKO live alerts here. Perfect. And so I have just sent this out to everybody. So the people on the free Telegram, as well as the text notification squad on Telegram, as well as people to your mobile phones. So the mobile phone service is a paid service. All right. Because the telecom companies pay for people to send text. I believe the text just went out. All right, perfect. So there we go. Let's go ahead and get live on these other platforms. All right. We are live on Twitch. We're live on Twitter. We're live on Facebook. We're live on LinkedIn. And of course, as you know, we are live on YouTube. So welcome in, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am your host, Tonya TKO, and we are in the midst of a holiday season right now. And you know, so people are coming into contact with family members, exes, distant relatives, old friends. People are hitting you up who you haven't spoken to in a year or years. And you're interacting with people that you may not have ordinarily interacted with. Maybe there's some people that you wish you could interact with, and those relationships are severed. We're going to be talking about a little bit of that here today, right? The title of today's video, Beware of the Perpetual Victim, because it's only a matter of time before ... you are just another villain in their story. And we're going to talk about that because there have been a few different things that have come up that have made me think about this, right? So the other day we had a broadcast and I opened up the phone lines to be able to, talk with people about what they're going through before Thanksgiving, etc. And one of the phone calls that I received was from a person who called in originally to give a compliment. And as I was asking the person questions, the topic came up about this person not having any friends, right? And when we were in this discussion, the person was over talking me, trampling over my words, not allowing me to speak, cutting me off, getting loud with me, and attempting to help add some insight to provide something of value for this person or other people who may have been listening. After that broadcast, now we know that the phone calls are anonymous, right? After that broadcast, a person who said that they were that person decided to start confronting people in the comments, talking about how you all made her feel badly, about how you all did this and how you all did that. The person even went so far as to say that she had a problem with my face, right? That she had a problem with my face, that if she knew what my face, all of this other stuff, right? And what ended up happening is there was somebody else who came out, right? And came out in defense of this young lady, and they sounded very similar. The energies of it was very similar behind the scenes. So this person came out and oh my goodness, frozen. You all, somebody is saying that it's frozen. Oh my gosh. I don't know what is going on and why this has been behaving this way lately. It's been doing this a lot lately, and I don't know why. I don't know why, right? Oh, brother. All right. So what was the last thing that you all heard? Where did it leave off for you all? Because I okay, let's see. All right. So yeah, so what's the last thing that you all heard? Because we can go through it again, right? So basically, all right. So what was the last thing that you all heard? Um, all right. Okay. Okay. I don't, it's been doing this a lot lately. I don't know why, but but we'll start all over again if need be, right? So basically, let me go back. Let me go back and just sort of say the whole story all over again. The other day we had a broadcast, and during this broadcast, I opened up the phone lines for people to talk about, what it is that they're going to do to celebrate the holidays, right? There was a person who called in, and this person who called in um said that because of the broadcast she was inspired to to celebrate, etc., right? Then I went on to ask her some questions, and I asked her whether or not she had any friends because she was talking about how she had just broken up with her ex-husband, etc., etc. And she was talking about really not having these connections. I asked her whether she had friends. She said she had no friends, and she started to say that part of the reason that she had no friends was because she was too nice and people kept doing her wrong and XYZ, right? And we talked with her, and we we attempted to be able to help her as best as we could, right? After the phone call, she came into the comments and she started confronting people, or a person who claimed that they were her came into the comments and started confronting people, saying that you all made her feel bad, that if she would have seen your comments, she would have XYZ, and she would have felt so terrible. And then she was talking about she how she didn't call in she called in to give a compliment and how we were doing this, and she even went so far as to talk about that she didn't like my face, and that my if she would have seen my face, et cetera, et cetera. Meanwhile, during this phone call, this woman trampled over my words several times. She was over talking me, cutting me off, wouldn't let me finish speaking. She was very defensive. She even got loud at certain points, and it was an interesting conversation. There was one point where, where I talked about the text notification squad and how we had formed community behind the scenes. And as I was talking to her, I I realized that that type of energy wouldn't be a good fit for a safe space behind the scenes, and I didn't bring it back up again, right? She came into the comments to confront people, to talk about how we were doing her wrong. And what ended up happening was there was another young lady who had come forward to defend her. The young lady then started to attack me, right? She started to talk about people with their so-called self-proclaimed this, and how if you're in an emotionally fragile state and you're vulnerable, not to open yourself up to self-proclaimed people and this, that, and the other, to go to a licensed psychological professional. And let me just say this for the record. Listen, I support therapy. I support you going to licensed professionals, right? However, if we're going to posit that we cannot have conversations with people, right? Then we have to look a little bit, we have to look a little bit deeper, right? We have to look a little bit deeper when we start saying that we can't have conversations with folks because we may be responsible for how they choose to feel. And I want to say this for the record, right? Your feelings are your feelings, and as an adult, nobody can make you feel any way. You have choices on how you choose to feel. You can choose to interpret something in any way that you choose to interpret. That is on you. And if you're going to allow yourself to feel a certain way because of something, that an interaction that you're having with other people, please understand that it is a choice, right? Your mental health is your responsibility, and you have to make sure that you are a whole enough person before interacting with people, because people are not responsible for you. You are responsible for you, right? So then from there, right? From there, um I play this I play this multiplayer game online, right? And in this multiplayer game, you there are people at different power levels, and we have to organize these rallies to strike monsters and stuff like that together, right? There was this person who joined our group, and she joined our group and she was behaving in a manner that was not congruent in the group, right? It wasn't congruent in the group. And I don't know why this thing keeps disconnecting. It might need to be updated. But nonetheless, so she was behaving in a manner that wasn't congruent in the group. People had spoken with her and had conversations with her, and she continued to participate in behaviors that just, she wanted to advance in the group. So she started behaving as if she was one of the upper members and she had just joined the group, right? So she continued to step on toes for about a week. And then what ended up happening is she just kept going further and further and further. And then she was kicked out of the group. Once she got kicked out of the group, she went to an area where everybody on the platform is able to communicate. And she started telling everyone how she was kicked out without being spoken to first, that nobody told her, she wasn't expecting this, and she was like, I'm going to enact my revenge, right? She started talking about how she was going to get revenge for being kicked out. And then she started attacking people from the group. She started attacking people who were not who were not expecting to be attacked. She started beating up people who were smaller than her. She started doing all of this stuff, and in her mind, she gave the reason for it because she was wronged, right? And so I decided to come out and do this video today because I wanted to talk with you all about the perpetual victim. Because as I was watching this unfold, I kept thinking to myself, how many times do we come into contact with a person and we hear their story? And we hear this story and our heart goes out to them, just like that young lady who came to the defense of the woman who was going off in the comments. Now to just come full circle. After about 2 days, right? Because first this woman was pretending as if, she didn't know how to work YouTube and all this other stuff, right? After about 2 days of arguing in the comments, she went and she changed her screen name to something else. When I went to go search the original screen name, in all the years of my channel, she had never commented before, right? But now, but now, here we go. Here we go. The calls are anonymous. She came into the comments to identify herself, to let people know that it's her, to confront them and let them know that they made her feel bad, that she feels badly. Meanwhile, she's talking about my face and how she doesn't feel that I should have had any emotion across my face, but her face was hidden. We didn't have the opportunity to see her face and criticize and scrutinize what look she should or should not have been given, or what she should or should not have been positing in any number of ways, right? So, nonetheless, I was reading the book or listening to the audio book, The 48 Laws of Power. Go ahead and throw up a 48 if you have ever read this book or come into contact with this book, right? Because I was listening to one of the earlier sections, and in one of the earlier sections, it was talking about people and their intentions, and how a person can have whatever intention it is that they claim that they have, but what is the outcome, right? And the outcome for many of the people who play victim is manipulation. They are manipulating you into thinking a certain way about who it is that has, quote unquote, done them wrong. And so, what brought this up for me is I felt like this needed to be spoken about. Sweet is asking, what's the gist of the video? Read the title. The title is Beware of the Perpetual Victim. We're talking about people that you come into contact with who are constantly and always playing the victim card and have the victim mentality, because these people are not doing the work that they need to do on the inside to realize, right? Oh, wow. A lot of you have come into contact with this book. Wow. Okay. Okay. And so, and so, oh, that's dope. Okay. I mean, it's an interesting book with a lot of interesting stories, right? I remember years ago I had this associate, right? And my associate, we were very friendly at the time. I thought we were friends, right? And he had this job at a radio station, right? And he kept talking about how these people at the radio station were using him for free labor, that they weren't paying him, that they had him there working all of these hours and he wasn't getting paid for these hours, etc. Right? And he was going on and on. And I felt bad for him because I was like, wow, these people are treating you so terribly. And, this is wow. So it made me want to be a good person to him. Right. Then when I was displaced, right. So mind you, I was living in my car. He and I were still friends. Right. And he was like, yeah, I'm going to help you. Right. He was like, I'm going to help you with your broadcast. I'm going to be your live producer, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And I was like, okay, cool. And so he came and he was my live producer on a few of my live shows. Right. And I was like, yeah, thank you. And then he was like, then after a few times of him doing that, he was like, yeah, let's talk about, compensation. And I was like, well, I'm living in my car. To think about this right now is just ridiculous, right? So I'm like, well, I'm living in my car, right? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, well, we could just build up a tally so that so that you just owe me, so that when things are better for you, then you pay me. I said, listen, I don't feel comfortable with accruing a tab, right? And he was like, no, 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 don't worry about it, right? And I was like, no, 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 I don't feel comfortable with accruing a tab. So what he would do is I ended up going live without telling him. I just started going live without telling him, but he had access to my fan page. So when he would see that I was going live, he would jump on and start forcing his free labor on me. Right? So he would come on and he would start forcing his free labor on me. And I had to have a conversation with him. And I was like, no, please stop doing this. I told you I did not feel comfortable with accruing a tab. And then he got upset with me, right? You wouldn't believe what he said. He was like, it was all good when I was giving you the work for free. But now that I'm talking about compensation, now you don't want to pay me. And I was like, exactly. Just like I was like, exactly. I was like, look, if you are offering me something, I was like, if you're offering a person something at a price that they can afford, and they say, okay, I'm okay with this negotiation, I'm okay with this, right? Then you have a deal. But if you all are talking about something and it's a price outside of their range, then you don't have a deal. And while you were offering to do this, right, I was okay with receiving that. But now that I know that you have other requirements, I am not okay with receiving your help. Because look, and I'm going to tell you all this in case this is something that you do, right? If you do anything for somebody expecting something in return, then you're not doing a kindness, you're doing business. And if you are doing business, then you have to let the person know your terms up front. Because and then I had to explain to him, I had an epiphany in this relationship. And I was like, is this the same thing that you were doing at the radio station? I was like, were you giving people your labor without talking to them about what it is that you're expecting in return? And then when they didn't give it to you, you continue to work for them and then complain. And I was like, are you telling people that I had you working for me for free? I'm like, is that what you're out there telling people? I was like, because this reminds me of the beginning of our relationship when you were telling me about all of these people who were you, quote unquote, using you. And I was like, when you go to tell the story, I was like, don't tell the story about how you felt that I was, quote unquote, using you for free. Talk about how you were trying to force your free labor on me. And I told you that I did not feel comfortable with having an ongoing relationship with you working for free. And when you talked about what your price was, I said that I was not willing to pay for that. I think he was talking about every time I went live, he wanted me to pay him $300 or something like that. And I was like, no, I'm not paying you $300. I would rather just go live like this, right? I would rather just go live like this and just keep it simple. Just keep it simple. So I wanted to just open up the floor for you all, and I'll open up the phone lines too. Because if you have been a person like this, I want you to tell people what it is that you did to get onto the other side of it. Because I have realized that people, for the most part, it seems that they really, 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 really do believe deep in their heart that people are doing something to them. And I remember recently I was supposed to work with someone on something, and their colleague was telling me about how all of these people kept using them and abusing them. and stealing from them and throwing them aside and all of this stuff. And I'm like, for years, it's like, come on. How many years do you allow yourself to be used before you wisen up? You know, I was listening to the 48 Laws of Power, and they were talking about Nikolai Tesla and how Nikolai Tesla kept getting used and misused. And Nikolai Tesla came up with alternate current, AC, because before that it was only direct current, DC, and he changed and revolutionized the world as we know it. But he continued to get into these deals where he was allowing himself to be used without protecting himself over and over and over and over again. And I'm just here to tell you, listen, don't be the perpetual victim. Take control of yourself. You can't be doing all of these quote unquote wonderful, nice things for people and consider yourself to be a good person while you're self abusing. Self abuse does not make you a quote unquote good person. It makes you a person who is allowing, excuse me, who is willing to allow yourself to be abused. Take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Let me open up the phone lines. I feel like I've given my monologue and I'm ready to hear from you all. All right. 323-488-3149. 323-488-3149. The phone. Oh, where's. Uh-oh, hold on. All right. Phone lines are open, so you can call in now and we can talk about whatever it is that you have on your mind. Desi says, I love this live. When I went through this, I just cut that person off immediately. People like that are dangerous. And you know what? People who are self unaware and who choose to remain unaware are dangerous. They are dangerous. And then also, I want you all to know that that is a tactic of manipulation, and there are a lot of people who fall prey to it. Pay attention. You will meet a man who will talk about how all of his exes were so mean to him and they were abusive to him. And he's telling you this because he wants to curry your sympathy. He wants to get you off your guard. He wants you to open up and go above and beyond. How many of you ever been in a situation where you heard about somebody who was quote unquote being done wrong, and in response you wanted to go above and beyond to make sure that they were done right, and in the interim they were so self-conscious and so all of these things that they ended up treating you terribly, being wrong, but you were getting wronged, and you're like, I'm trying to be nice to you, meanwhile you're the one now being abused. At the end of the day, the bottom line is you're still being abused. Who cares what the reason is? There's so many people who pull that flim flam on you. They pull the flim flam because they talk to you about all these things that all these other people did. So whenever you hear somebody, and people will call in on the line, there was a guy who called in and started talking about how all of these women called him a mop head and they didn't like his natural hair and they didn't like his locks and he couldn't find a woman to like him with his natural and this, that, and the other. And he ended up getting cursed out on my phone. And there was some people that were trying to tell me that I was wrong for cussing him out. I don't remember what it is that he did. Oh, I remember what it is that he did. He called in on a line where I was talking to women, and he decided to bogart his way and beat his balls across the broadcast to let us know that he has been a victim of women and women do it too. Don't pay attention to this sugar honey iced tea. Don't pay attention to this foolishness. When people start trying to pretend as if all of these people did them wrong, just listen for the manipulation because it's coming. It's coming. Muan says going through it to this day, but self-protection is most important. Yes, absolutely. So let me see. Phone lines are open 323-488-3149. I want to hear from you. Monique says this happened to her over the summer. It's crazy making. Ajara says I was there. Dragon says I witnessed that. Oh, yes. Oh, you're talking about the guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Listen, listen, it was like he needed to get up off of my line. But there was so many people who were like, oh, Tanya, you are so wrong. You mean, you mean. And I was like, put your cape away. There are people out there, listen, they are trying to manipulate you. Open up your ears and realize, don't fall for the flim flam. Don't fall for the flim flam. Triple said, I had a dude ask me to invest in him on the first date. He needed $600 a week. I'm well to do, and he just saw me as an opportunity. I'm done. Lord have mercy. How did he know you were well to do, my dear? How did that even come up? You're on the air live with Tanya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hi, Tonya. It's Kelly from Oakland.
Hey, Kelly. Are you on a text notification squad?
Yeah, I'm that green vegan.
Oh, hey, how are you? So what are you calling in to tell us today?
Okay, so I'm gonna keep
Uh-oh,
it a
your
buck.
phone is breaking up.
I was one of those people that played the victim. I used to be the oh woe is me. I remember when I was in school and you had cold hearts and you had to turn in assignments. I used every excuse in the book. Oh, my mom is sick. I have to work full time. I was just always making excuses. And I had someone who really loved me because people used to like always kind of like coddle me and stuff, because I'm cute. But one time someone really loved me and just put me to the side and said, you need to get your S together
Mm-hmm.
and stop making excuses and, do it. And when that happened, I mean, it threw me off. And at first I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like mad, but then when I
Mm-hmm.
sat and thought about it, I'm like, they're right. I got to stop making excuses. And I did it. I mean, I got my S together and I did well, and I didn't make
Mm.
excuses no more because it's like there's people out here that they're in like way more horrible situations than I am, way more horrible
Mm.
situations than I am, and they do it every single day. And there I was, just I was being lazy. This was years ago.
Mm.
I'm better.
But how did it begin though? How did this begin?
Okay, so I think it began with me growing up because I'm an only child. I'm the first
Mm.
grandchild, the first niece. So growing up, I was coddled, I was spoiled. Like,
Mm.
I had everything given to me. Like, I'm not the kind of kid that had allowance, so I didn't know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, oh, I want this jacket, and I got this jacket. So growing up, I never really had to have responsibility. I
Mm.
mean, I really didn't because everything was like handed to me and stuff. And even though I remember maybe like 8 years ago, I was I had lost my job, and my
Mm.
friends were like paying my rent, paying my car note, buying me clothes and food. And then it got to the point where I just was like, why get a job? I can just get my stuff from people. And then eventually it started to, dry out.
Oh my
People
Lord.
was like, no, you can't, no, I'm not paying your rent this month. Like, you're an adult, get a job. And,
Mm. Mm.
it's
Mm.
like, I did. So it's like, but I had to learn, but I feel like it's the people in my life that was like, kind of gave me tough love is
Yeah.
when I realized, you know what, that's not right. It's not good. And I know like my family, they really sheltered me growing up, but that hurt me, that harmed me because they didn't show
Yeah.
me the real how it really was. And when I really got out on my own, I didn't know how to deal with it.
Yeah, listen, I feel you. I feel you. One of my nieces is very cute, and she's lighter complected, and she has dimples, and she's very petite and just a little cutie, right? And I
Mhm.
noticed from when she was about 4 years old that, people gravitated to her and gave her favor, right? And
Mhm.
she came over for Thanksgiving, to help me cook. And we were making a package of cornbread, with the Jiffy vegetarian mix, right?
Yes.
And I told her to read the instructions to me so that because she wanted to double it, right? We were making two packages and she wanted to double. And the measuring cup was like it needed 1/3 for one package. So, for two packages, it would be 2/3, right?
Mhm.
And so it saddens me to even admit this out loud, but she went to read the instructions and she was stumbling on the word directions or something along something real easy like that. It was a DIR word, directly or something along those lines. It was something just it was a very simple word. And she's 13 and could not read this word. And
Mm.
I was like, no. And I had a conversation with her because this is serious. Because it's like when I was working with her, to help her, she thought that I was being mean to her. And,
Right.
and she's been able to get by on her cuteness, and I'm like, I see how people end up in adulthood and they don't have the ability, they don't have the resources to cope with being an adult because it's like that cuteness doesn't last forever. You know what I mean? And it's like, what type
Right.
of person do you develop yourself into? And she doesn't seem to have the self-starterness on the inside to really want to do it, to want to be. Because I don't know if I told you all this, but when I was young, I took a look around at the Bronx and the way people were living in the Bronx, and I did not want to end up like some of the people that I saw in these rat infested apartments. And I didn't want to live like that. I wanted to ascend. And so it was very important to me to make sure that I was educated, to make sure that I was well read, well spoken, that I was an orator, and that I was eloquent, that I articulated well. And it was important to me, even as young as before I became 13, it was important to me. I tried to get into preparatory programs to go to boarding school and study abroad. These were the things that I wanted for me. However, everybody is different, and she doesn't seem to have that drive in her. And I'm worried for her because I know what happens to cute young ladies who go out there in the street and cannot make it on their own.
Well, the thing too, Tanya, you have to realize, like when I was growing up, we didn't have platforms like yours. There's so many like positive platforms that kind of educate women to like you can be strong, independent. We didn't have that. Like I grew up with my grandmother's time, around my older people, and they would just
Mm-hmm.
tell you like, get married, have babies. That was it. I mean, when I was in high school, and I get choked up when I think about this. I told my counselor I wanted to be a photographer, and he was like, "You're a black woman. You can't be a photographer. You need to be a preschool teacher." And that's what I did. I was like a preschool teacher for like 10 years because I'm listening to this person in authority who, who I'm listening to, and I was so scared to share that with my family. It's crazy because years later when I told my family, they was like, "You should have went for your dreams." But I think a lot of times what happens to women is like when you share something to someone and they shoot you down, you're scared to tell someone else because like if you tell someone who you really love and care about like a dream or goal of yours and they shoot it down, it breaks you. It destroys you. And then, you end up just, low self-esteem, settling for anything. I mean, I'm lucky that my mom, God rest her soul, she instilled a lot of um confidence in me.
Mm,
That I didn't fall in those cracks and, be like abused,
yeah.
but I mean, I did fall back on that spoiledness
Mm,
because it's like, oh, I'm just asking. I was getting it. Where, I needed people not to enable me. I needed people to just encourage me, give me the, what is that old saying? If you teach a person to fish,
yeah. Yeah. Give a person a fish they
I mean,
eat
if you
for a
give a person a
day.
fish, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. You give them a fish, they eat for a day, but if you teach them a fish, then they'll eat for a lifetime. That's what we need to start doing with our younger generation. But I don't even think they had that. But it's different. It needs to stop. We need to break that cycle. We need to help, the youth coming up, and like stop being so like this social media. That's fake. That's not real.
Yeah.
Like you need real skills. Like I was talking to my friend the other day. I'm like, they don't teach you nothing in school that's gonna help you. They don't teach you finance. They don't teach you how to, do your face. I mean, like whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, like they don't teach you the stuff that like life skills. They just teach you that stupid history, and it's a mess. But that's all I
You know
wanted to
what?
say. Thanks. But
You
I
know
just
what?
wanted to share with you too.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? We probably need to create programs like that for our youth. I wanted to address
Yes.
a few different things that you said, right?
Okay.
One of
Mhm.
the things is one of the things that we all have to realize that you have to realize as well is that we are
Mhm.
all born predisposed to certain types of trauma for whatever reason it is. Either something that
Mhm.
is genetically ingrained in us or something that a belief that we were taught when we were younger or something that we were just going to come into this life and need to learn and experience. Because for you, that teacher saying that to you made
Right.
you feel like, oh, well, this is what I need to do. This is a person who is in a position of authority. So let me go along
Mhm.
this route, right? That was, you were
Mhm.
already predisposed for that type of interpretation. I realized this when because I used to tell this story that, a baby in a crib, right? The baby's crying and the mother is coming to the baby, but the phone rings and the mother stops and turns in another direction. Now that baby is going to have, some sort of feeling about this. The baby's going to be like, "Oh, when I cry, my needs are not going to be met." Or, "Oh, adults cannot be trusted." Or, "Oh, you
Mhm.
know, um other things are more important than me." So each child is going to interpret this in a different way. This is why I say no child escapes from childhood. Nobody escapes from childhood without any type of trauma because just being acculturated is traumatic. Being stopped from being wild, is traumatic. You know, um, and so for you, you were predisposed to that type of trauma because another person who would have been told that, oh, you need to become XYZ, they would have been predisposed to interpret that in a different way. Like, F you don't know what you're talking about. I'm on my own. I got to do everything on, you know what I'm saying? Adults can't be trusted. For
Mhm.
you, you were like, oh, this position of authority is going to be trusted. For another person, it's going to be like, oh, adults can't be trusted. And then that person is going to receive a certain type of
Right.
trauma from not being able to depend on other people. You know what I mean? So what
Right.
one of the things that you can do is look around for other avenues in your life in which you have given up your power. Because I'm sure that that wasn't the only time. I'm sure that there are going to be other things that are going to compound where you gave up your power to other people.
You have to. If you have a job, you got to do it. I mean, when you work a 9 to 5, you have to kind of humble yourself sometimes and listen to comprehend and not to respond. And I think that's really kind of like, you know,
I'm
that's
talking
really
about
kind of
giving
like
up your
molded me
power in
too.
a disempowering way, like something that made you feel disempowered, like giving somebody else, governance or credence over your dreams or your life path or something that was important to you or something that
Yeah.
you coveted or really wanted or cherished and that you gave up your power and were thus, in a disempowered state like you were when that teacher told you. The only reason why I say this is because I remember Because one of the problems that we have as Black people in this country is that we have a lot of motherfuckers from other communities coming in and teaching our children. I realized this a
Right.
few years ago on Facebook or Instagram, one of those, when I saw a meme that asked, how old were you when you got your first Black teacher? And then they asked, how old were you when you got your first Black male teacher? I didn't have my first Black male teacher until I was in college, right? I didn't get my
Me
first
too.
Black female teacher. Hmm. Must have been high school, but I don't even remember one. None of them, nobody stands out to me in high school. I know in college I had Black female teachers. I went to an HBCU. Oh, you know what? In high school I had a Black guidance counselor that was female. But my whole thing is we have a lot of people from other communities teaching our children and some of the shit that they're teaching our children. So let this be a lesson to everybody who's a parent out there. You have to get your children into contact with people who look like them, who are teaching them and have their best interests at heart. And if you don't, just please know that there's some unlearning that you're going to have to do for your children, right? You're going to have to talk to your children because they're learning some detrimental things at the hands of these people who think that they're doing them a favor by trying to teach them to be in their place. Because I remember the teachers told me that I wasn't going to amount to anything because of my attitude. They were like, with an attitude like yours, you're not going to make it far in this world. And I remember thinking, F you don't know nothing about me. I'm going to make it. Even though they kept trying to tell me that I wasn't.
Yeah. No, it's true, and I agree with you because I feel like I'm Gen X, and I think growing up they just relied on teachers to teach you, But
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, parents need to teach their kids. They need to be more involved and see what's going on because it's crazy. Like I'm glad that I was a teacher. Believe me, don't get me wrong. Like I'm glad because I was able to instill a lot of stuff into me and give power into those children and like no, you have a voice, speak your mind, tell me what you want because I think a lot of times, like when people are older, they like kids need to be seen, not heard. I don't agree
Mm,
with that. I
yeah.
think that's what happened to a lot of like the baby boomers in the generation silent generation. They didn't have
Mm.
a voice. So they didn't know how to communicate and teach their kids and their generations after that. But I see things changing, Tanya, though. I really do.
I mean, things have no choice but to change. I mean, change is coming slowly, but it's really becoming aware of the problem that helps, help expedite change.
Right.
Well, thank you
That's the
so much
first
for
step.
calling in, Kelly. We appreciate it. I see some other calls are coming in, so I'm going to let you jump off.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Tanya.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye. We're right. So phone lines are open 323-488-3149. Parents taught their children up to the 60s. I don't know because in the 1800s they had schools. In the 1940s they had schools where children went and they went into schools. Your grandparents were taught in schools, some of your parents. Mhm. So I don't know. I don't know. So some people had their first Black female teacher in early grades. I see A is saying second grade and seventh grade for first Black male. Yeah, I do not remember having a Black male teacher until college. You're on the air live with Tanya. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hi, Tonya. This is Edna from Missouri. How are you?
Hey, Edna, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're talking about victim mentality, etc. So talk to us.
Yes. Okay. So I don't know if you remember when we were talking last. You connected me with someone, and you know where
Yeah,
we are. Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess for everyone who's listening, I identify as asexual, and I've been kind of coming to terms with like how I'm going to date and like connect with somebody when
Mm-hmm.
we live in such a sex obsessed society.
Mhm.
And you said something, you were like, why are you trying to find, why are you even trying to figure that out if you're asexual? Like, what's the point, right? It's like, you need to be finding asexuals. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course, duh, you know. But, you know, when it's your own life, it's hard to see that. And
Mhm.
when I started doing it, it just kind of opened up this whole thing of like relating to people in general. And it's kind
Mm.
of made me realize that I think I'm neurodivergent, maybe on the autism or whatever spectrum.
Okay.
And it's really hard because it's like this masking that I've done my whole life. And it's like coming to terms with unpacking all of that and
Mm.
doing that without identifying or without like labeling it as being a victim to, you know, my brain or, you know, whatever. Um,
Mm.
because it is what it is, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, it has affected a lot. So it's like right now I'm just kind of like I don't know, it's just so many thoughts. But yeah, that's just
Mm.
kind of where I am.
All
And I
right.
just wanted to thank you
How
for
did
kind of
things
maybe help
go?
highlighting that.
How did things go
Huh?
with the connect?
Uh so it's a lot of emotions, right? And I don't know if maybe he picked up on that. He was like, "Whoa, I don't want to deal with that." But really, I'm not in the place to connect with people on that way because I think I need to figure out like who I
Wait,
am
I know
and
you didn't go and make me look bad behind the scenes, girl. What you done did?
I didn't. No, I just didn't respond. Like I just kind of say, "Hey, whatever," and like he didn't come back, so I was just like, "Okay, I just let it go." Like usually I do this thing where I like, okay, I try to figure out what somebody wants and I like give them that. So if it's like if I find out, oh, this person really likes this or that, I don't go out my way to pretend to like fake, you know, connecting with somebody, but I'll play up the parts of myself that they would like. And it's like I'm trying to find a balance between what's a healthy way to do that to relate to people and what's like an unhealthy way that might be tiptoeing into like manipulating that person.
Okay, so you're saying that the person I connected you with didn't follow up or you didn't follow up?
Uh I want to say they didn't follow up. He didn't follow up. Like I sent the last message, but at the same time, but that goes into me being neurodivergent. It's like I had to take a step back and I'm like, what's really going on here? Because it's like I'm constantly trying to interpret or translate what someone is saying. Because someone will pop in and say, like, hey, you know, I'm in the middle of doing whatever, blah, blah, blah. But what they're really saying is, like, yeah, I love you, you know, like responding to something. But you know, I found out that really they're saying, like, I would like to talk right now, but I'm busy doing X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? Like, they're trying to connect to reach you, but they come at you with something so random. And sometimes it comes in anger or frustration because of what they're dealing with, but that's not what they intend, right? But it's like I'm dealing with all of that, and that's fine. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, I need my needs met. And I'm so busy constantly figuring out what the other person is, you know, trying to communicate to me and responding appropriately that I'm not taking care of myself. So,
Mm.
like
Okay,
this
so
pandemic, yeah.
oh, sorry, finish your sentence. The pandemic what?
Oh, and I'm just gonna, and so that just, and that was really highlighted with the pandemic because I didn't have to deal with all of that. You know, like I found a job, like like my basic needs are met, right? So
Mhm.
now I'm moving on to the that next level of connection and like emotional supporting and all of that I haven't had before because I've just never been like maybe with like my mother, but
Mhm.
literally no one else I was able to connect with on a deep level like that. So like I want that, and it's like coming to you know trying to figure that out. I'm just like you know going through it.
So what is your plan? Because you know there's a lot
So
of
yeah,
discoveries. Well, first of all, you know, congratulations on taking the steps to self-explore and self-examine. That requires a lot of courage. Thank you for calling in and sharing with us. You know, I know this cannot be easy. So thank you. What is
thank
the
you.
plan?
So right now I do have like a set number of therapy sessions through work
Okay.
employment. So I'm going to take advantage of that. I've been looking at resources online,
Mm-hmm.
um, and and trying to figure out, because a lot of these resources are from the authority that, like the last person just highlighted, doesn't necessarily have our best interests at heart, right?
Mm.
So I'm really trying to like find a balance in taking what works for me and leaving what doesn't.
Okay. Okay. But I'm talking about, well, you know what? The people in the comments, somebody said two asexual people can't be together. That they're perfect for one another. Perfect. Perfect base to be able to
Yeah, I
start.
learned not to read the comments, so I'm not read. So if you want to
and
ask me
then
questions or
and
something from the comments,
and
yeah.
then another question is, you said that you need to have your needs met, and they want to know what needs, if because their mind can only
Oh,
think of sexual.
listen, y'all, I am not sexual. Like
They
I
said
don't.
you
I
said listen, hold on. You said you have to have your needs met, but what are the needs that you're talking about? Just to give more insight to the
okay.
people.
Right, right. Okay. So, I mean, emotional needs, like support needs. Like, so one thing with ADHD that I found is that, like, we just
Mhm.
feel emotions intensely. So if one person is like being ignored or rejected, or I might interpret something as being
Okay.
ignored or rejection without that necessarily being the case. And I have to constantly tell myself, take a step back. I don't, like that might not be what's happening here.
Mhm.
Also, because I observe and like I listen intensely,
Mhm.
when I speak, it can kind of cut, because I'm not talking on the surface level, or like, oh, how's the weather and blah blah blah. Like, I'm like, listen, you're bullshitting because of blah blah, or excuse my language, but you know what I mean. Like,
Mhm.
I'm like, I know that you're lying because of X, Y, and Z. And to me, I'm just like, why are you lying? Like, if you're talking, tell the truth. If not, can we go to something more important? Like, if you don't want to speak about this, but that's not
Okay.
how the world works.
Mm.
And I just want to connect to people on a real level like that. But everybody's always kind of superficial. And I get it. Like, I'm
Well, let me ask you
understanding
this. Let
it.
me ask you this
It's just
question.
frustrating.
How do you find like-minded people?
That's what I've been working on. Like, it's been very slow 101. And it's like
Okay.
all of my friends are like weird. Yeah, well, I don't want to say weirdos. I need to stop saying it. But, are like me. And I have handfuls of people that I've connected with, and some more than others. But it's like, because I don't know if they've honestly come to terms with themselves. And it's like I've been sharing as I've been coming to it, but it's scary. I know how hard it is. So I'm not trying to push them.
I don't know what you're
And I do
talking
have.
about. You've lost me. I'm talking about
Oh, I'm
yourself.
sorry.
What are you doing
Okay.
for you? You are talking about other people. I'm talking about what are you
Hmm.
doing to find locations that are of like-minded people, that you can find ways that you can learn more about what type of neurodivergence that you may have. What are you doing for that?
Oh, I don't have those specific resources. So I, like, other than looking on social media to kind of, I guess I'm just taking that first baby step to be like, oh yeah, I think, yeah, I'm probably neurodivergent, like, because I've been
Mm.
gaslit my whole life to be like, because they keep telling me, oh, you're just lazy, or you're just this, you're just that. And it's, when you just accept it, it's hard to accept that no, there is an actual problem. So then it's like a whole nother thing to be like, well, okay, how do you address the problem if you're not even fully accepting that there is a problem, or
Well,
not even, and I don't even want to call it a
hold on,
problem.
Edna, hold on. You said
Hmm.
that you've
Hmm.
been gaslit your whole life. Who was gaslighting you?
It's like a constant thing. Like, if I say, it's like when you talk about having a full-time job, it
Mm-hmm.
is. I'm 35 and I've never had a full-time job. I work in taxes because I'm able to, give it my all during the tax season, make enough money to sustain me throughout the rest of the year. I also have like other passive sources of income that sustain me, and I've like investing and crypto and all that kind of stuff is like my passion, or kind of like, like I've always been interested in that. So money has never really been a concern because I've been able to like figure out that part of like covering my expenses.
The question was, who is gaslighting you?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I
The
don't know. It just
tax
seems
your
like
job, your
all
taxes job is gaslighting you. Who's gaslighting you? That's the question.
no. Okay, so if I'm at work, right, I have to review tax returns, and I'm following the IRS rules and regulations.
No, hold
Someone will
on,
come
hold
back.
on. You
Yeah,
said
I'm trying to
somebody
give you an
told you you were
example.
lazy. Who is gaslighting you and
Yeah,
telling you that you're lazy? The people you're working for?
no, no, they don't, because I don't show them that side of me. Like whoever I'm working with or whoever I'm with, they don't see that side, so they wouldn't say that. I guess when I say that, it's like I follow this community online of what they call girl world with the O. So it's these it's a whole thing, but they look at these people who are probably neurodivergent or whatever. I see myself and I can relate in them, but I see what people say about them,
Who
and
is
and
No,
it's
I need you to give me a person.
mhm.
No, Edna, stop. Who you said someone
Okay,
is
okay,
gaslighting you. Who
okay.
is the person?
My
Okay.
aunt, my aunt. I'm sorry, I know my aunt.
All right. So you said your aunt had gaslighted you by telling you that you're lazy.
Yeah, well, and I know. Okay, 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 okay. Um, she, I don't know.
Edna,
I'm here.
what's coming up for you right now? What's happening?
It's just like, I'm sorry, y'all.
Talk through it. Talk through it. It's okay. Emotions are a great way
Mhm.
to let feelings out because, when we get things pent up and we have to get back to a state of equilibrium, the tears will allow you to get back to a state of equilibrium. So let it out. And then tell us what's coming up for you right now.
Okay, so I have this aunt who uh really stepped in and like helped take care of me when I was a child.
Okay.
Because my mother was physically sick and she couldn't do it
Okay.
for a period of time. Her along with my grandmother, so she's been like a major parental figure, and she just doesn't see that I'm neurodivergent. So um it was just every time we would go out, she would pick us up on a Saturday, we would go do whatever, and I would be like just exhausted by the end of the day from being so social all day. And she just couldn't get it. Like my mother was a social butterfly, and I'm not that. I'm a literal wallflower, and and I'm not that kind of person that's like, oh, pull me out and I'll like dance or whatever. I just need the encouragement. It's like, no, I just want to be in the corner, supporting. Like I'm ecstatic just being there, honestly.
Right.
But people don't get that. They think everybody wants to be on stage, and it's like that kind
Okay.
of thing. Like if I jump in, I'm
So
like,
let's
it's just.
let's redirect, okay? Let's redirect
Mhm.
because you're talking about what other people are doing, what other people are doing to you, etc. Is it possible that they just don't know about neurodivergence? Is it possible that they just don't know about the spectrum? That they just don't understand? Because gaslighting is a deliberate set of actions to make a person think that what they know to be true is not true. Gaslighting came from an old book where this guy was turning down the lamp and his wife was like, this lamp is getting darker and darker. And he was like, no, it isn't. But meanwhile, he was turning it down. But if your aunt doesn't know, if people don't know, if you're just finding this out yourself, then where is the gaslighting? What is it that they are doing to you? Maybe they just don't know. Maybe
Right.
you can educate yourself enough to be able to do what? How do you take care of yourself in this situation?
Right. And that's what I'm working on.
Okay. And so the last time we spoke to you, um, were you going to be working on getting signed up for a therapist? Because you said that you have some credits at your job to get mental health care. What is your plan for that?
Yeah. So, because, well, at that point, I wasn't sure what I would be speaking about. So now that I've kind of figured that out, I still feel like I need to, I don't know, like maybe what, where exactly on the spectrum, or not exactly, but dig more
Right, but
into
hold on, but
what
listen,
type.
listen.
Yeah.
First things first, right? Let's
Mhm.
work on getting you a therapist first. There are tests that can be given to be able to assist you in knowing exactly what's going on so that that way you're not just flapping around in the wind, just, thinking and pontificating about something which may not even be the case. Get a therapist, right? First.
Mhm.
There's a backup
Okay.
log of therapists. So your mental health is your responsibility, right?
Right.
Get the best person on the job to assist you. You don't have to go this alone. Do you need an accountability partner? So I wanted to say thank you to the knockouts in the audience. The last caller who called and said she needed an accountability partner, the accountability partner wrote me and followed up, and the young lady had not written to me, so I was able to get back in touch with her and connect her with the accountability partner. And within 2 days, she found herself a therapist. So thank you all for stepping up. Edna, would you like an accountability partner to follow up with you to make sure that you sign up for a therapist?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm going to ask that if there is somebody out there, so an accountability partner, all you have to do as an accountability partner is how would you like to be contacted via email or phone?
Email would be great.
Okay, so all you have to do is write to Edna and open up a dialogue with her and find out from her by which date is she going to sign up to get therapy, right? She's going to give you a date and she's going to and you're going to ask her how she would like for you to hold her accountable, right? And
Okay.
then
My email is
no,
email is
you cannot give that.
oh,
You cannot give that out on air. Please just send me an
it's a
email. Just
public email.
do not give your email address out on air, please.
Got you. Okay.
Just send me an email behind the scenes. This video is going to last forever. So
Got you.
send me an
Okay.
email behind the scenes. Go to tonyatko.com. If there is somebody, if there's somebody out there who would like to be her accountability partner, raise your hand. Let me know who you are. There's almost a minute delay because the broadcast got knocked off earlier. So if you're able to let me know, all you have to do, and I'm gonna call you out on air, and then you just write to me behind the scenes. But yeah, so as an accountability partner, you just write to her at that given date, and then you just find out from her what her progress has been like and if she has been able to sign up. And if she hasn't, then you find out from her what has been stopping her, and then you set up another time for her to have this accomplished. And if she hasn't accomplished it by then you contact me and let me know that she has not upheld her end of the bargain. All right. So Roximira, no, Roxiran, Roxir. Oh my goodness, Roxy Random. Okay, okay. Roxy, come to tanyatko.com and send me a message, tanyatko.com. Click on contact, send me a message and say that you'd like to be Edna's accountability partner. And as an accountability partner, you are not to offer any type of coaching, no type of therapy. You're not to try to sell any services. All you do is write her, find out a date that she's going to do something, and then contact her on that date. Just put it on your Google Calendar or your iPhone calendar, and then just follow up by that date. Okay? So that sounds good, Edna?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. We're going to get you right together. Don't you worry. Come spring, it's going to be a whole new story.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. All right. Bye bye. You're on the Ear Live with Tonya. What's your name and where you calling from? Oh, the call is connecting. I don't think it's going to connect. It says it's connecting. All right. So, all right. So, let me hang that up and then try to get back in touch with the person who was calling in because the call is not connecting behind the scenes. Hey, Stefan, are you getting your notifications now? Is everybody on the text notification squad getting their notifications? You're on your live with
Hello.
Tonya. You're on your live with Tonya TKO. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Lady Libra calling from New Jersey.
Lady Libra.
Yes.
Your name sounds very familiar. Oh, you're the
I'm the
one who
one who,
called in for some
yes,
smoke one
yes, I'm the
day.
one. Yes, I
Oh,
am. Yes, I'm
all
the one who
right.
called.
Welcome back. How are you today?
I'm amazing. Thank you so much thank you for everything. Thank you.
Okay. Well,
So,
wait, you're the
I,
person who needed the accountability partner the last time, right?
yes, I did. And I reached out to her and, what a amazing, beautiful spirit she is. I'm so, blessed I that I went through this so that I could meet her, and it's just been amazing. I just
Oh,
wanted to call
wow.
you and give you an update. I did email you with the update. Um, I just wanted to I can't thank you enough for you. What I wanted to tell you was you keep your neck on these people who are perpetual victims because they need it. Um, I was definitely on the road of being a perpetual victim. And the thing that I finally realized is, first off, I owe nobody nothing. And second of all, nobody owes me nothing. And
Mm.
when I move through life that way, we do things for people because we should want to do things. We shouldn't be doing things because we expect anything or have
Mm-hmm.
ulterior motives. I just want to I don't even know what to say. I'm just so happy that I'm almost kind of like when you said childhood trauma, that really resonated with me because like I've been going on my healing journey for quite some time now, and to know that sometimes what I call my childhood trauma is I named her Baby T. And so sometimes she'll act up and I don't know what's wrong. And you called it and I literally have a picture of myself as an 8-year-old sitting on my desk. And so after the call, when we got off, I looked over at my picture and was like, okay, what's going on, Baby T? What's wrong? Are your needs,
Mm.
it sounds crazy to talk about it in a third person that way,
Yeah.
but it's a way of healing the childhood me, and I don't know. It's something that I do. I don't know if that's mentally sound, but
Mm-hmm.
it's been helping.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the accountability partner that you gave me, or that hooked up with me,
Mm-hmm.
she's such a beautiful, beautiful spirit, and I'm so grateful for this whole process. That's really what I
Oh,
wanted
we're
to
so
tell you.
happy to hear that. Thank you for
Yeah.
following up with us and
And
letting us
yes, and
know.
I did make my appointment. I have my appointment scheduled for the VA December 29th. I want everyone to know that I am serious about my continued healing. And, if anything else, accountability partner, it's like my thing is most people, I believe that people don't, the thing about being accountable is what I've been trying to learn is being accountable means you have to be emotionally present. So
Mm.
sometimes people, when you mention accountability partner, it scares them because maybe they're not emotionally present, or
Mm. Or not
it
ready to
takes a
make the
lot.
change.
Yeah,
I'm
then
supposed
right,
I'm
right. And
supposed to be
I've been
listening
doing
to
this
an
yeah,
audio to break all my addictions
yeah,
to sugar, oil, and salt. I ain't started the audio yet. I ain't ready.
right, right. Right, right. It's so funny because I'm actually a recovering alcoholic too. I've been clean, sober for 12 years.
Oh,
And that's
wow.
another way when I feel that I'm emotionally unbalanced is when I start ordering extra large coffees from Dunkin' Donuts. Like, okay, what's going on? Because that's still kind of an addiction, you know.
Right, right, right.
Um, Everything that I do, I just want to be better. And if someone like you can call out, you know, anything that I could be displaying as, you know, harmful to myself or others, I'm just open. I'm open to healing. I'm open to accountability. I'm just want to be open to getting better. So
Okay, yeah. Well, you know what? Thank you for that. I have a question though. The last
yes,
time we spoke, you said that you were going to that you'd found an independent therapist in the New Jersey
I know.
area, but now you're saying you're going to the VA. So what happened with the
Yeah.
independent therapist?
So with the independent therapist, so I reached out to her and I gave her the information because I'm a veteran. My insurance is with the VA, and her network didn't cover that particular
Oh,
insurance. So I have to get
okay.
another insurance. I am applying for like some mental health services, Medicaid here, so that I can possibly see her. So until that happens, I'm just going to go ahead and go to the VA until I can,
Okay.
you know, get that insurance with another insurance to help.
Okay. And you know, you can always get
Yeah.
supplemental insurance too. You can have more than one insurance company at a time.
Right. Yeah. I know. Like I said, I've been using the VA healthcare system for
Mm-hmm.
so long
Yeah.
that I really didn't think to wander out until this phone call with you. Actually, I
Okay.
was, you know, I knew that I needed therapy, but for a long time I had stopped going to the VA because
Yeah.
it gives it's okay, so it's a male dominated environment, and I
Mm.
have other issues with the VA that, you know, I'm sorry, I can't discuss like on
Right.
air
Okay.
anyway. But now because my symptoms are kind of blaring, I'm gonna just
Mm-hmm.
go and at least um and put the fire out if that makes sense. um
Yeah. What was the final
thank you
straw for
so
you?
much.
How did you do it?
My final straw was so 12 years ago, I have 6 children. And for the and this is what the perpetual victim does. So I had been struggling with, you know, just keeping a roof over our heads, having this sense of entitlement, like you know, I don't have to pay rent. Like, the fatality that I had was really sickening. And so at the end of that,
Wait, hold on.
I
It cut
had no
out. It
more
cut out. So I didn't
resources.
hear. I
And
didn't hear what
so
you say. Hold on.
I
It cut.
basically found
Hold on.
myself
Can you hear me? Hello, Lady Libra. Hello. Hello. Oh. Hello, Lady Libra. Hello. Oh. Oh. The broadcast cut out for a second. Now there's a 1 minute delay. And it may have even created a new broadcast. I don't even know. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to do something because I don't know why this is happening like this. Let me try this again.
hello.
Lady Libra,
Yes, yes, this is she.
you're back on the air. The
Oh,
line had dropped. Sorry about that. So you were saying,
oh,
and it cut off right before you were talking about you struggled to keep a roof over your head, and you were talking about the entitlement of it.
yes. And so the entitlement, because that's to me, that's what the disease of addiction does. It gives you this sense of entitlement to, you know, get people to feel sorry for you and stuff.
Mm,
And so I was just so tired towards the end. I I I realized that my children had nothing to do with why my life was the way it was, and they didn't deserve to be parented the way I was parenting them. And in order for me to be a healthy parent, I needed to get myself healthy. And since then, like I said, I actually got, on Section 8. It was like a voucher with the VA, what they do with veterans. But the past 5 years or so, I've been able to work myself off of Section 8. I bought a house. I've opened a business.
Oh,
I've, been thriving and stuff. And so, but like what happened with when I was live the last time, like I said, sometimes behaviors will rear their ugly head, and I have no idea where it's coming from. So because of me being in touch with me trying to heal, I was like, look, I take what everyone says. It always says consider your source, and you are a great source. Like if you something's wrong, something is definitely wrong. So I just value your opinion because, like I said, I've been a long time listener of yours. I've even gotten your self-love book. I've ordered them for my daughters, and I'm in a place where I look for critique so that I can just get better,
Yeah.
And yeah, that's where I'm
What?
at now.
That's really important. I wanna circle back to that. However, I remember before we got cut off, you said, I don't. Why should I have to pay rent? If you could just expound upon that for us, I wanted to hear that sentiment so I could at least get a greater understanding.
So, okay, so a part of my entitlement was, I don't know how to describe it, like being, so when I call it the sunken place, when you're in a sunken place, it seems like you can always find other people to co-sign crap. And so you hear a lot of stuff about, I don't know how to describe it without being embarrassed. Like people are saying, hey, you don't have to pay rent. If you're behind in rent, you can get, services to help you with the rent and blah, 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 trying to do that route of getting other people to pay bills that I'm responsible for. And so I just found out that I'm just not built for that type of life. Everything that I do, I have to earn it because the other thing about it too was having low self-esteem. Is I started to wonder, why was I having such low self-esteem? Sorry, I know y'all heard that. I'm in New Jersey. But the thing about it is, I asked myself a question, like, why do I have such low self-esteem? And I literally answered myself. I was like, because I'm not doing things of high self-esteem. when you have low self-esteem, when you're not doing things that's esteemable. Like it's just that simple.
When you say things that are not esteemable, what do you mean by that? Are you saying that you weren't accomplishing things, or you weren't participating in self-esteem?
Right. Just, yeah, like not doing like I said, drinking all day, that when the kids, I don't really know how to describe it. I don't want to sound, the typical hood life,
Really?
Not that I don't want to sound, judgmental or anything, but because I'm not in a great, neighborhood, but the welfare mentality, right? I see somebody put that in the chat. That's exactly what it is. And I started realizing, why would I want to be on welfare when I'm able? Like, it was just stuff that I had to program myself to understand about why I was in the condition that I was in.
Let me ask you, when did that begin, though? When did the quote unquote welfare mentality, when did that begin? How did it get into you?
So it got into me, which is, it's so weird because, so my mom was actually, so my mom wasn't originally from New Jersey. They were from down south. And I remember when she would tell me stories about when she came up here, she honestly didn't know anything about that type of stuff. So when she finally moved to Jersey to stay, people around her was, she wound up going to work and got a job. And then she got pregnant with my brother. And then people was like, well, no, you can get welfare for the kids and you can do this and do that. So it was something that I think was kind of inherited. Um,
Mm.
that part I'm still kind of figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeah, it's just this mentality, and it's and I've also had other friends. Like I remember I knew this one person who for the life of her she would not pay rent to save her life. Like she would be on TRA, she was on Section 8, and then I remember she would talk about like, well, they didn't pay their portion of the rent. What do they think I'm supposed to pay it? And I'm thinking to myself like, well, yeah, you are like I guess um what is that? Just changing the circle of people that I was around
Mm.
really helped with me changing that personality, that character, that I call it a defect. Now I'm around other people, other women, other men who are business owners who want to help me, market my business, and
Mm.
like my mentality is so completely. So I'm just going to tell you when I remember when I worked my way off of Section 8. I remember I was thinking to myself, like, why would I want the government to tell me how much money that I can make so that they can give me the minimum so that I can just stay stuck in this cycle? And I just felt
Mm.
like I was a part of a big running joke or something like,
Mm.
and I just didn't want to be a part of that anymore. Like I wanted to be self-sufficient. I wanted to be emotionally healthy. I wanted to be a good mom. A lot of things like really happened. I remember I was reading something that said I don't want my children to have to recover from their childhoods. And that
Mm.
really touched me because I said that's exactly what my children are going to be doing. They're going to
Mm.
be trying to heal from something that wasn't even their fault. Like they're not going to even have a chance at anything healthy if where they come from is not healthy.
Okay,
Um,
hold on for just one
I just
moment, please. I'm sorry. I need you to just pause for just one moment. I need to address the audience. I'm noticing that there's a lot of people in the audience that when callers are calling in, that you're telling the callers that they need to have self-love, that they need to increase their self-esteem. Please don't do that. Don't do that. These calls are never about the caller. The videos that I do are never about the people in the videos. Who are they about? They're about you. If you're listening to somebody, please listen to them for what it is that you can gain for yourself. This is not about telling other people what they need to do, where they need to be, how they need to interpret, how they need to. This is not about that. And I'm going to ask you to stop. That is one of the boundaries that I have on my page. Don't do that. All right? Ask yourself, in what ways can you love yourself more? These brave people are calling in talking about the victim mentality that they have had. And I'm sure we all have had a victim mentality at some point, some entitlement. And I am listening to her and searching myself and searching my life for understanding. So this is an opportunity. Do not squander this opportunity. Love yourself enough to look within yourself, because self-assessment takes a lot of bravery. It takes a lot
yes,
of being present to this present moment. It takes a lot of some very difficult, it's not easy, realizing that, like I tell you all that I'm no longer a Christian. I saw some of you fighting in the comments earlier. Growing up in an indoctrination
mm,
and having the bravery to say, you know what, and examine that and say, you know what, this does not work for who it is that I am. I no longer eat meat. Not because anybody, like, people are like, oh, it's too bad that you can't eat meat. I'm like, I can eat meat. I can eat whatever it is that I want. This is a choice. So please make the choice to have the bravery to look within yourself, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot. I'm going to, so the last person who is saying that, I'm going to encourage you to call in after she gets off. This the very same person who was like, Lady Libra, love yourself enough to know that you will only accept that person. I want you to call in and I want you to put yourself out here on Front Street in front of all of these
Right.
people in a video that will live on the internet forever. Please, I encourage you to do that so that you can examine yourself and see, why don't you put yourself in somebody else's footprints and come forward
Right.
and open yourself and see what that is like, and then see the type of grace that we
Mhm.
can offer to other people. So nonetheless, so Lady Libra, I believe I was asking you a question.
Yeah.
Was I asking you a question? You were answering it.
I think I was answering it, and now I completely yeah. I was answering. I was answering a question, and now I'm sorry. I don't even remember what it was.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what?
um, but
I was while you were talking, because I was talking about when did this begin, and you were going back into depth, and you know what? I had a little bit of an epiphany, because I know somebody who has a mentality like that, who was like, why should I have to pay rent? Why
right,
should I have to buy my own food? And I remember this person used to also complain because there was a time in which the Section 8 had years long waiting list, as well as they were asking the person to work a tremendous amount of hours at some menial job. And I was like, well, you don't have to do that. You can just pay your own rent. And it was like, it just didn't click for her, but there was an entitlement in there. And I'm
right,
just, a lot of things are coming full circle. So I appreciate you
right.
sharing. I appreciate you sharing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And another thing too that I really so it may be off topic, but I think that it applies here. I Something in my spirit, like I love Whitney Houston because, like I said, she's from the same city as me, and so I remember when I was little, my dad, like her family went to church with my father's family. And so I remember this one day my dad walked in the door. Like, now, no, she didn't give him the album to give to me. He went and brought it, but he came back and gave me the Whitney Houston album. And, of course, Greatest Love of All was on there. I actually listened to that song again about a week or two ago.
Mm.
And when I tell you that song hits so different, Whitney, the whole song is about how the greatest love of all is the love of
Yeah.
yourself. Like, that's the whole song, Tanya. And I
Yes.
didn't
I
even
just listened to
realize
that song
this.
recently
And I was
myself.
in tears. I was
Yes.
It was such a beautiful song.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized. I realized, like, when you're a victim, I don't want my saying was, I'm from victim to victorious. Like, there's
Mm.
nothing victim about me. That
Gotcha.
I don't give myself enough credit for how much I've been through and have endured and gotten through. And
Yeah.
people will look at me and go, "Oh my God, you have a 27-year-old. You look 27 yourself." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, that's that's the that's my ancestors keeping me protected."
Mm.
So, um,
Mm.
it's yeah. I think that it is easy, but people don't want to throw around saying that we need to have self love because you
Well,
know
let's not go into
maybe
that. I'm going to let you jump
yeah,
off the line right now
yeah,
because we've been on for over 20 minutes. So I
yeah.
appreciate you,
Sorry
Lady
about
Libra.
that.
No,
I
no,
just
no,
wanted to.
no need to
Okay.
apologize. No need to apologize. This was a pleasure, and I hope that people have been able to gain a lot from this call. I know that this call is a very important one. So thank you.
Thank you. You're very welcome. I just want to tell everyone I left quarantine as an employee and came out of quarantine an employer. So I love
Oh,
myself very much. I'm open to critique, and thank you, Tanya, because people like you make me get better and better. So that's all I have to say on that.
that's wonderful. Thank you so much. You have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, listen, I'm not upset. I'm not upset. No one here has upset me. And I don't, it doesn't matter to me whether or not behind the scenes you are saying that you're doing this evaluation. If you're going to comment, do not comment about what other people need to do. Please comment about what it is that you are doing. Comment your self reflection. That's all I'm saying. Whether or not you self reflect is between you and yourself. Phone lines are open. And let me check the apples real quick. All right. I'm going to grab those in a moment. So if you want to support the show, if the show is helping you in some sort of way and you would like to be able to show your support, you can send it through Cash App. You can send a cash contribution to sponsor the show. The link is in the description. It is $ Tanya TKO, which you see moving across the screen right here. $Tanya TKO on Cash App, and you can send something through. I'm going to read them in about 5 minutes. I've opened back up the phone line, so you have the opportunity to call in. It is 323-488-3149.
Hello.
You're on the air live with Tonya TKO. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hi, Tonya. My name's Carolyn, and I'm calling from Indiana.
Hey, Carolyn from Indiana. Okay, so what is your comment this evening?
Oh, wow. So, in the industry, I was just listening to the young lady, and in the industry of social work, honestly, I've learned that parents teach their children to go and get on welfare. As I mentioned in my email to you, a young lady may, for instance, get pregnant. A young man, for instance, may have some mental health disorders, and the first thing the parents do is to tell them to go and get on welfare instead
Let
of
me ask you,
encouraging them to go to school.
let me ask you this question, because this is an opportunity for you to call in and self-reflect. So are you calling to talk about the times that you have been in victim mentality?
I was there, absolutely, and absolutely, I was there. I talk about it with my friends. I've gotten a lot of my friends, I've talked them off of getting on welfare and Section 8. But a young girl coming up, uh, as I said, and getting pregnant, that was the first thing that was told to me. So
Okay.
absolutely, I'm reflecting on myself. Um,
So your
and
mother, told you when you got pregnant to get on welfare. How old were you when you got pregnant?
I was a teenager, 17.
All right, so you were 17, and then so your mother said, "Okay, well, get on welfare." So then you got on welfare, and then what happened to change it all around for you?
As just walking down the street and walking past businesses, walking past the Social Security office, walking
Mm-hmm.
past, going to the welfare office, I was completely embarrassed and ashamed to go in there. I cloaked myself with scarf, sunglasses. Didn't want anybody to see me going in there. It was the most embarrassing time of my life. I don't know what, I don't, for me, I was ashamed of it. And I
Okay.
think that's what made me, it wasn't me. It wasn't built into my DNA to do that. I'm a young girl, but it was embarrassing to be pregnant. It was embarrassing to have chosen, a man who would not take care of my child and me, would not marry me. I was ashamed of myself. And I would go
Mm.
in there cloaked. Didn't want anyone to know that I was going into that office. And I remember way back then when they had analog telephones, I bought one and I would call my caseworker and ask her if she could please call me. I was in the car when it was my turn because I was so ashamed of even being in the office. I don't
Wait, you
think
had a
that a
car
lot
phone
of
back
women
in the days?
understand. Back in the days, there was, yes, yes, back when they had those big brick phones
Okay.
and you had to pay per minute.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Well,
Yeah.
then what was the final turnaround for you?
I don't just it's such a long story. It's almost, my brother-in-law is a producer, and he said, yeah, he said my story is so bad that people would not even want to hear it, because it's kind of like, yeah, it's really bad. But I do use it in a lot of situations to turn people around because I've been thugging, drugging, hanging, banging, dipping, and chewing. I lived that lifestyle. Growing up in Chicago, I lived the most, oh gosh, I'm so ashamed to even say most of the things. So my testimony or my words or the things that I do privately with people one on one as I'm led. You know, if I feel like it's something that they will actually listen to, that's the only time I'll tell it. You
Well,
know, but I think
let me just interject here real quick because I'm
sure.
hearing you talk about shame, right?
Oh
And
yeah.
what is the is the shame helping you? How is that shame feeling making you feel?
Well, I mean, it was a lot of years ago, but it made me go back to school. It made me get an education. It made me, now I'm a social worker and I try to empower people to overcome their barriers. So it completely
Right, but it sounds like you're
changed
still
me.
experiencing feelings of shame. You said you're ashamed of your story, but I'm wondering what is
Yeah,
another way, because you know what, shame is a feeling, right? There's
sure.
so shame is a feeling that says, so blame is a feeling that says you are bad, right? Shame is a feeling that says I am bad. And so
Mhm.
what is another way that you can think about this so that you're not feeling ashamed of your story, the story that you navigated through, your life,
That's
basically.
really good. That's really good. I'm glad you pointed that out. Um, Not all of the stories would I be ashamed of, um, publicly. I think not all of the story privately I would be ashamed of. But some things are so deep that you just don't want to say publicly because of how people can misinterpret your journey. Many of my family knows, probably all of them. I just don't know that, but many of my family knows some of the abuse that I suffered privately, from uncles, aunties, cousins, things like that. I know a lot of people say these things, but out loud publicly, and in hopes to change somebody's life. But I think I don't want it to, by mentioning names, I don't want it to devastate families. So I think that's why I leave a lot of it very, very private because,
Well,
you know,
let's unpack this really quickly, right?
oh,
Okay.
good. Thank you.
So we this is a moment of self-reflection, right? So you're calling in
Mhm.
and you know what, somebody corrected me, well, actually refamiliarized me with the statement. So um guilt says I did something bad, right? Shame
Mhm.
says I
Mhm.
am bad. That's what the sentiment
Mhm.
is. Guilt says I did something bad, shame says I am bad. So
Mhm.
this is a moment of self reflection. Your story has gotten you to where it is that you are today. Everything that you've done,
Mhm.
that you participated in, happened and you got onto the other side of it. Yet,
Yes.
you are still saying that you are ashamed of some of the things that you did. And wherever there is shame, there is need for healing. So what are the
Yes.
things that you actively and currently need to heal to alleviate yourself of that burden of shame?
I don't think I've reached my peak, Tanya.
What do you
I
mean?
I've got a house, a nice car.
Mhm.
I was just talking about this to my aunt today, who's in her late 70s, and
Mhm.
she's fighting cancer. And I was just telling her, I don't think I've really surmounted some mountains in my life.
Mm.
Like you're so eloquently and so that you pointed out. I think
Mhm.
that I'm not going to try to use the big words. Let me just be really, really plain. I want more, Tonya.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Oh my. Hold on. Did we get disconnected from the line? It looks like we're still on air. Let me try reaching back out to her.
Oh, what just happened? I'm so
I,
sorry.
I don't know. It just disconnected. Remind us of your name. You're calling from Indiana, right?
Yes. Uh, Carolyn.
All right. So
And I
Carolyn,
think I
okay.
just, hmm
Yeah. So go ahead. You were saying that you want
I
more.
think I just want more. Like being able to, I told my aunt, I said, I've come so much further than many of the family members thought I would. My
Okay.
own house, own car, 2 jobs, work hard, bed, broad scenario. Like, but it seems like I should be more. Like I see myself owning businesses and such, and I haven't attained that yet. I see myself writing books, and I hadn't attained that yet. And she actually said the same thing you said. She said, "What's stopping you? What's stopping you?" And that part I don't know. And I think it's what I said earlier. I don't want to hurt those people in our family. So I've got to figure out a way of being able to tell the story without revealing who they are.
You don't want to hurt which people? The ones who harmed you?
The abuse. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So what you're doing is you are not speaking your truth and not doing the things that you feel destined to do because you don't want to
Mhm.
hurt the people who did not care about hurting a child.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah,
let's
I don't know why I'm like that. I
no, no,
just,
no, 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 no,
I
no. I think I
hurt
no,
people, and I don't want to
yeah.
be that person.
However, I think it's more than that. I think it's more than that because
Tanya?
yes,
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
I was saying I think it's more than that because at the end of the day, right? What is going to happen once you
Mhm.
hurt them?
Hmm.
What's going to happen?
That's a good question.
No, because listen,
'Cause
there's something that's
mhm.
going to happen that is going to be uncomfortable for you. So when you write, let's say you write this book, even if you change the names, people are going to know who XYZ is in the book. And then what's going to happen after that?
Mhm.
What's going to happen once your family
I don't
members,
I don't really know.
what do you
I
think?
don't really know. Um, Not much could happen if I really stopped to be honest.
I mean, there's something
The
that
the
could
main
happen.
one who
I'm
hurt
just,
me and my
mm-hmm,
sister,
mm-hmm.
the main one who hurt me and my sister, the family does know about it. And my sister reveals she can still taste his penis today, and she's sick in her 60s.
The phone keeps getting disconnected. Let me try her back again. Give me a moment, y'all. And then we're going to grab the apples in a moment.
I'm not
Yolanda and Anetta, I see
her.
you both there. Hey, Carolyn,
Yes,
we got disconnected again. Um,
yes.
so so when I say what is going to happen, I'm not even talking about the repercussions or what's the baddest thing that's going to happen. I'm asking you for a chain of events. So the book comes out, somebody reads it and says, "Oh wow, Carolyn was talking about XYZ." And then what's going to happen at that point? Is someone going to call you?
No, no,
No one's going to call you?
no. I think because they mostly know, but I don't want their children and their children's children devastated by this truth
So what
that
you're
their
afraid is
father
going to
did this.
happen is that their children and their children's children, so their grandchildren are going to find out the truth about who a human being is and the activities that they participated in. Oh, I don't know why the phone keeps disconnecting. This hasn't happened before. But
Yeah, I tried to call back. I'm not sure what's going on.
yeah, I'm not sure either. It could be the connection, any number of things could be happening. So
Okay.
you are apprehensive because their children may find out the truth. What do you
Mhm.
think is going to happen when they find out
Mhm.
the truth about some actions
And I
that
don't
a
want my sons to know. I don't want my sons to know because I don't want my sons to retaliate. It's it's really bad. It's really, really a bad thing.
Okay.
One of the people they're passed away. Um, my aunt, she's passed away, and they know about it. What they do now, because I revealed it once she passed away.
Okay. So let's talk about this, right? What is
Mhm.
it doing to you on the inside? What is it doing to you on the inside that you feel
Um.
called to write this book, yet in your protection of other people, you are not writing this book? So, on the one hand, you say you don't want your sons to retaliate. What are some ways
Mhm.
that you can converse with your sons, or what is it that you can do to stop your sons from retaliating?
Give me an idea, Tonya, because I don't know. I
Are your
honestly
sons
don't know.
reasonable? Can you have a conversation with them and say, "Listen, I'm getting ready to publish a book and there's some terrible things that I'm going to write about in this book, and I want to make sure I want to make sure that you are going to what does that conversation look like?"
I don't know. I have a couple of them that are pretty emotional, and they're pretty close to me. Um, I just don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, you know what? The very first things first, right, is
Mhm.
that you are
Mhm.
going to have to come to terms with what happened to you. Have you gotten therapy about what happened to you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I have.
Okay, so you've gotten therapy about what happened to you. I'm suggesting that you get back into therapy and start
Yeah.
dealing with some of the things that were not addressed and are still unhealed, like the fact that you're still feeling
Mhm.
shame, the fact that you're living in this prison of perception, that you are not able to speak your truth, that you're going on this journey because you are going to write this book and you most likely need to be working with someone who's going to be able to help you navigate what writing this book looks like, and maybe even conversations
Mhm.
that you need to have before the book comes out.
Mhm.
Maybe
Mhm.
maybe that could be part of it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Sounds
Well, you know
good.
what? Please
Mhm.
do keep us up to date. Make sure you call in one time in the future to let us know how everything went. Okay?
I love it. Thank you. Thank
All
you for
right.
sharing that.
All right. We love you, Caroline.
Thank you. Good
All
night.
right then. All right. Good night. All right. All right. So I'm going to check the apples now. So here we go. Where is the first one? All right. Oh my gracious. It looks like we've lost our connection to the thing. I need to grab it back because there we go. All right. So perfect. All right. So Anetta sends $1 and says, "This is my last dollar to bless you for this show." Well, you know what? That last dollar is like $100. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yolanda sends $1 and says, "Thank you for protecting your audience." You are so sweet. I appreciate both of you. I appreciate both of you for sending the apples through and supporting the show. If there's a person that that wants to send an apple through when I am off air, you can send it even when I'm off air, and I'll send you the emoji back to let you know that I received it. So I appreciate all of you and the love that you have sent. I am going to go ahead and jump off of this broadcast. I feel like we have done what we have come here to do. And so I want to hear from you about what is the self-love lesson that you have learned from today's video, because that's what it is all about. It is all about you. It's not about anybody else but you. All right? So let's go ahead and get this music on and let's see. Talk to me. What is the self-love lesson? Go ahead and type SLL. There's a 57-second delay because the broadcast kind of got cut out a time or two. So I'll give it a few moments to be able to get caught up. So I appreciate all of you for coming out. I appreciate all of you for participating, for supporting the show by sharing it, by tagging people, by calling in, writing in the comments. All of these things help. Liking the video helps. If you want to get a notification for whenever I go live, inside the description, there's 2 different ways. There's a way to get it via your text. There's also a way to get it for free on Telegram. So the links are in the description, TonyaTKO.com. Click on text. If you want to get the free one, the Telegram link is in the description. Because to me, it's most important that we are able to, we're able to gather. And these platforms can be very fickly, even the mobile phone providers can be fickly sometimes. So having the backup. So everybody, when you join the text notification squad, you get a link to a special Telegram group to be able to get the private links over there, to the Hangout that we have, as well as the oh my goodness, I can't talk. I'm gonna check the Hangout the Hangout in just a moment too. So come on, we have a little bit of a delay. So now you all should be typing in your SLL. What is the self-love lesson that you learned from today's video? So I want to see what you learned. Michelle doesn't know what it was about. Well, child, you got to get here on time. That is the point. That is the purpose of joining. It's $1.99 a month to get the text, or even free if you want to join up on Telegram. SLL, work on yourself while judging others. How about don't judge others, just work on yourself. SLL, express support. Hold on. I gotta restart the captions. Everything is just messing up. All right, there we go. All right. Oh, sorry. Let me grab those SLLs. Okay. The greatest love. Okay. SLL, support and compassion at the callers, not judgment. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. You know something? Go get my belt. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. Okay. I feel you on that. I feel you. The stress of trying to hold that image. People want you to tell them what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. SLR, I'm thankful I didn't get something thought I didn't want. I know that's right. Let's go for another minute. Come on. Self-love lesson that you learned from today's video. All right. I appreciate you all coming out. I appreciate you all providing a space and a platform for us to be able to have conversations like this and not just have to talk about viral topics and things that these platforms are trying to force us to talk about. The truth will set me free. Tell truth and shame the devil who hurt me. Okay. And you know what? Listen, there are ways to go about doing everything. It doesn't have to first come out in a book. It can also, there are so many different ways to go about doing things that are in alignment. Because if something is not getting done, it's not in alignment. Figure out what needs to be in alignment. All right. SLL, awareness is necessary when trying to find healthy relationships with other people. Yes, that is so true. And you know what? I would say trusted sources of reflection, like when Lady Libra said that when I pointed something out to her, she trusted what it was that I was saying. If you can find a trusted source to be able to point out ways that you can self-reflect and improve, that's a wonderful, powerful tool. Perpetual victims often perpetual victims often create the unfavorable situations that they find themselves in and cry foul when people don't want to play along with their manipulation. I can only be a victim for so long. Living a fulfilled life is my responsibility. Yes, I love that. I love that. I love that. Learn to let people share their story and see what you can learn from them to improve your own life. That is perfect. I love that. I love that. Material things are unfulfilling when you are not healed. Well, so many things are unfulfilling when you're not healed. Tell yourself the truth first. Find your strength in love. You know something? Be who you are and love who you are. The truth is always the better path. Yes, I feel you on that. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. All right, so listen, I am going to tell you all the self-love lesson that I learned from today's video, right? So go out there and love one another. Most importantly, love yourself. And part of loving yourself, the self-love lesson that I learned from today's video is about compassion for people who are in a loop, and that these loops sometimes started in childhood. And not only that, but that there is a manipulation factor to the victim mentality, because there is, and one of the self-love lessons that I learned is to really be extra vigilant, because people who are in a victim mentality, they are actually enacting abuse onto people around them, that other people have no space to really even exist, because they take up all of this room. Like Lady Libra came on the line and she was like, I owe the world nothing and the world owes me nothing. And I think that this is an important revelation, because for many people, right? For many people, they allow abuse in their lives because they have abusive tendencies. They allow abuse around them because abuse is okay, because there are things that they are doing that they know is abusive. And so this has been the self-love lesson that I learned from today's video, is to just be really extra vigilant about not allowing people to enact this abuse, the abuse of victim mentality. Because what ends up happening is people who are in this victim mentality, they are manipulating you and other people, and they are not living their truth. And when they come to you and you allow them to continue to bring this energy to you, you victimize the people that they are claiming victimized them. So you participate in their victimization of somebody else. If you all understand what it is that I'm saying, does it make sense what I'm saying? Does it make sense? I hope what I'm saying is making sense. So a person comes to you in victim mentality. Oh, look at what this person did to me. Look at what this person did to me. And when you come to them and you're like, oh, there, right? You're actually assisting them in their abuse of another person. So that has been the self-love lesson for me, to just be extra vigilant about not allowing myself to be abused by people with this deeply embedded victim mentality. Because Amy, if you're just coming in, there are ways for you to get a free notification right to your phone through Telegram. The link is in the description of this video. You can also get a text to your phone if you don't want to get like an app and you want to get a text. That's $1.99 a month. You get to support the show and yourself. And we have a text notification community behind the scenes that you become a part of. So, I mean, because if you really think about it, right? For those of you who have ever been in a relationship with a person who is abusive, right? What happens is these people, they don't acknowledge that they are the abuser. They don't acknowledge that. They go out there and they are like, oh, look at what XYZ did to me. She abused me. Look at what she did. And every person who co-signs that effery also becomes an abuser of a person who is being blamed for activities that, look, I remember when I had that phone call the other day and the person was talking about all of the things that I did to her on that phone call. And I'm thinking to myself, we are all grown and we all participated in an activity together. At any time, if you did not want to participate in this activity, at any time, it could have ended. If there was any question that anybody doesn't feel comfortable answering, right? You can, what are some things that you can do? You can, one, not answer the question. You can say, I don't feel comfortable answering the question. You can choose not to answer, but don't participate in an activity and then turn around and absolve yourself of your own participation. You know what I'm saying? Don't absolve yourself of how you participated. I'm not saying blame yourself, but acknowledge how you participated. It's not about blame, because blame says what? Blame is you are bad. Guilt is I am bad. And shame is, no, shame is I am bad. Guilt is I did something bad. All right? So, yes, yes, yes. I appreciate all of you. Thank you all for coming out. All right. So, you all understand what it is that I'm saying. So, please know that when you're talking to a person who is saying, so listen, anytime you hear a person, let your radar go up. When this person is talking about all of the abuse that they have suffered and all this other stuff as an adult, all of these things that people have done to them, etc., just let your ears perk up and just ask yourself, what is the story underneath that? Listen to see if they acknowledge how they participated in it. I told you about the girl in the game that I was playing and how she was kicked out of our group, and then she started enacting her quote unquote vengeance on smaller members of the group and started beating them up and all this other stuff. And it was like, she's like, I'm going to get my revenge because of what you did to me, but she's not acknowledging how she participated that got her kicked out of the group in the first place. So don't participate in people's storytelling, in their victim mentality, because on the other end of their victim mentality is a person who is being painted out to be the villain. And sometimes you have to look a little bit deeper beneath to see what is going on. Whenever I start talking to a person and they don't acknowledge how it is that they participated, what it is that they did, red flags immediately go up. And so Yes says, what about when someone is abused by the system as a child, like so many Black men have been locked up and charged with felony? You know, I will say this, right? I will say this. At some point, we have to acknowledge how we participated in it, either through our human selves or what was the greater lesson that was called into our lives from our spiritual selves. What is the greater lesson? How is it that your life has been made better? How have you been made stronger? How have you been fortified by those activities? What has changed for you? How did you become better? It's really that simple, because if you're sitting there talking about some time that you served for a crime that you didn't commit, right? Listen, you know, for every person that I have ever met who has said that the system did them dirty in some sort of way, right? There's more to the story than that. And there was something that they did that participated in those activities. Because if you can't see how did you end up in the situation in the first place? What actions did you take? Were you hanging around with some of the wrong people? Were you where you were supposed to be? And then let's say, listen, I'm curious. Did they engage in any illegal behavior is a question. Because sometimes the crime that you're picked up for is different than the crime that you committed. And though you're screaming about being innocent for one thing, there are other things that you participated in that you're not so innocent of. And that's for the vast majority of people who get sucked up into the system. For the people who are, let's say, completely 100% innocent, 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 innocent of all things, and it was just a case of mistaken identity and all of that, then what is the life lesson? What is the learning lesson for you there? Because honestly, how much longer are you going to sit back talking about how the system did you wrong? At what point do you take that, your pain, and turn it into power? How do you then give back? How do you now participate? Do you become an advocate in the criminal justice system? I remember I was reading this. I was reading it was it was some business magazine that I got a subscription to. And there was an article about this man, and his daughter was born with this crippling disease. Like she had this crippling disease, and she had to take this medication in order to be able to, but she was a little girl and she didn't like the flavor of the medication. So the man was working in some unrelated field, and he then learned how to create flavors to mix the medication up with. And he discovered this entire business for other people who had children who needed to take medication, but the children didn't like the flavors. And he came up with this entire array of different flavors that go with different medications. And he started a multi-million-dollar company over this. Why did his daughter get this crippling disease? Was that anybody's fault? Did God do him dirty? How would his life have been different if he just sat there talking about how he was a victim of circumstance versus saying, how do I turn my pain into power? How do I shift this into something that is going to be of benefit for me? If you trust yourself as a ray of the light of God, if you trust that there is some divine force that has created you and that is guiding you, if you trust that, then you know that everything that is happening is for your greater good. So why did that man's child get afflicted with this dis-ease? His child became afflicted, and he had now a personal reason. I got to fix my captions. I'm sorry. Because I know that there are people who are hearing impaired, and I know that they depend on the captions. So when they mess up like that, I have to fix them. Why did his child become afflicted? He then had this personal motivation, this thing that was guiding him, this fire in his belly, right? My mother died when I was a teenager, right? And I had to go through college and come into womanhood on my own. On my own as a woman, I had to learn what type of woman it is that I chose and choose to be. My mother was not there to guide me. My mother was not there to give me dating advice as an adult woman. These were things that I had to discover on my own. When I had my near-death experience and I was attempting to find ways to be all right, I went onto YouTube and I found a video, and a guy was asking for, it's my 15-year anniversary actually. So this coming week, we're going to look at my very first video. We're going to go back down memory lane. And I found a video that I reacted to, and my base began to grow online. And one day I made a video about self-love and knowing your worth and dating and stuff like that. And even though I was unmarried at the time, I was child-free, unmarried, and dating, people found value in what it is that I was talking about. And they wanted to hear more about it. I wanted to create other videos, but these were the things that people wanted to hear. They wanted my perspective. There was something about my unique take. Hold on. I need to get this thing back up. And the broadcast is messing up, right? So somebody said that makes no sense. He wasn't suffering, his child was. If you think that the parents of disabled children don't suffer, then where's your compassion? Where is your compassion? Everybody in the family, but nonetheless, what I was saying is, and I didn't lost my train of thought, but I remember that I was saying, if you believe in a higher power, then you must believe that there's a greater good to all things that happen to you. How do you take the time to think about that? And I was telling you all my story. If my mother had not died, would I be making these videos? It's kind of like in the Matrix when Neo turned around and hit the vase, when after the Oracle told him to watch out for the vase. If she had not said that, would he have turned around and would the vase have dropped? If XYZ had not happened to you, who would you be today? So my yaya is saying we all had to learn on our own as adults. No, there are people who have, you're being distracting and you sound as if you're going through some things and you need attention for what it is that you feel that you're going through. And I implore you to take the time to look within yourself to figure out, why is it that you feel, right? We don't know if the child was suffering. Just because a person has a disability, if a person is born into a disability and that is all that they know, are they suffering? You can't speak for the mentality, but we do know that the father spoke and the father was suffering in the ways that he was suffering. Why did that happen in his family? Something happened in his family. Me personally, I believe that before I came into this life, right? I believe that before I came into this life, that I had already negotiated with the being that would be my mother to come into the life to experience a mother dying early. And that she came into this life to experience what it is that she experienced before she died. Right? And so this is what I believe. Each person, here we go. It's just too much. It's too much. Be respectful. And then that person, even after their multiple warnings, are going to be like, why did this happen to me? It happened to you because you were being distracting and disruptive, right? You were being distracting and disruptive. Why do things come into our lives? You have to take the time to find meaning. Instead of sitting in victim energy, how do you find meaning? How do you find meaning for whatever it is that has come into your life? What is it that you need to do to find the meaning for your life? It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. All right. Oh, I heard an apple come in. So let me grab that real quick. Listen. Hey. All right. There we go. All right. So here we go. Carlos sends $10. You didn't give any words. Well, thank you, Carlos. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So there we have it. I appreciate each and every one of you for coming out. I appreciate you all giving the space to have videos like this. And I'm going to tell you, this life can be so random and so confusing. And we've got to take the time to figure out, we've got to take the time to figure out for us. We've got to take the time to figure out for ourselves, how do we bring light meaning to our lives? How do we not be in victim, blame, or guilt? How do we not have shame, blame, or guilt? We go from there. All right. So on that note, I will see you all in the next video. Tonya TKO. And I am out.